Good Sunday afternoon, everybody. It's June 13th, 2021 for me, and I'm guessing it's late June or early July for you. And why is that? Well, that's because I just spent a wonderful 2-day weekend in Altoona, Pennsylvania at the YouTube meetup hosted by JPVideos. And I got a lot of videos, and I'm sure you just spent the last couple of weeks watching those. And I hope you enjoyed them, because I certainly enjoyed where we went, and I certainly enjoyed filming the videos. It's a little hard for me to comment on the specific videos right now, because even though you've seen them, I'm in my car on Route 99 heading north, and I have not yet edited them. In fact, some of the footage I can't even review until I get it home and put it on the computer. I think I have 10 or 12 videos from this. I probably ended up tossing a few. I think the quality on a few is probably questionable. But I was able to film at all the locations. They did allow filming at Lakemont Park. I've got to say, Lakemont Park was a lot more fun than I expected it to be. And don't get me wrong, I expected it to be good. It has been on my bucket list since the 90s. Particularly because I wanted to ride Leap the Dips, which is the world's oldest operating roller coaster. It's a side friction coaster. I have never ridden on anything like that in my life. I am absolutely in love with that ride. I mean, it's not the fastest, it's not the tallest, but it is just so unique, so different, and it really, truly feels like a trip back in time. Something like that would probably, never be approved to be built in this day and age, but it's well maintained, it's well run, it looks very rickety. I think that's part of the thrill, to be honest, and I just got a real kick out of it. I rode it 3 times. I only filmed it once. I mean, sometimes you just have to put down the camera and enjoy life. I ended up riding the Skyliner 6 times. I mean, I must have completely lost my mind. That is one of the craziest roller coasters I've been on in my life. And again, not because of height, speed, or any of that. But I have to quote JPVideos on that. He really described that coaster the best. He said, it looks like an abandoned roller coaster that somebody hooked up power to. And I gotta tell you, I know they maintain it and it's safe, but it sure looks and feels the way that Jay described it. And again, I think that's part of the charm and part of the thrill. Everybody who ran that park was so nice. They were, very cool about us filming and everything. I think really attending that park with a group of people really enhanced the experience versus just walking around by yourself and taking a ride here and there. The one thing I need to explain, because it's not going to show up in any videos, because it wasn't running, was their train ride through the woods, which you can imagine as a rail fan, the fact that that was not running is incredibly disappointing. The reason is, and what I hadn't realized till we got to Lakemont on Saturday, is that the park had actually been closed for several days. They've had a lot of torrential rain in this area, and there was a lot of flooding, which apparently, even though the part of the track that we could see from walking by looked okay, apparently there were parts that were flooded out. They were anticipating that they were going to be able to run it Sunday. Of course, with everything else we had going on Sunday, there wasn't time to stop back. But I know I'm going to be there again, and we'll have a chance to ride that and film it. We did some other rail fanning activities afterwards. I'm sure you've seen by now the N-Scale GG1 and the Chessie car and the Conrail caboose that I purchased. It was really neat to go to an old-time hobby shop again. There just aren't many of them left. And I went there with Nick and Nikki from Nick's Crossing. The guy working in the store was very friendly, very knowledgeable. They had, they were mostly an O-scale Lionel store, which is, it's not my cup of tea, but they had just enough N scale stuff and just the right N scale stuff to keep me interested. And you know, honestly, I like looking at all the scales. There's only so much space and money to purchase the stuff. So, you know, we did that. We did some rail fanning in the evening. Horseshoe Curve itself was great. I do wish we could have stayed up there longer, and I do wish we could have seen more trains. What also didn't come through in any of the videos is how long we had to wait. Excuse me, there was the one coal train, which I filmed from the parking lot. Thankfully that came right as we were heading to purchase our tickets. So it was actually neat to film one from that perspective. I hadn't planned on doing that or expected to do it, but I think, you know, that was a cool experience. When we got up there, you know, I wasn't really timing it, but I think it was about a 2-hour wait before we actually saw anything. And 2's a very approximate number. Maybe it was an hour and a half. Maybe it was 2. Maybe it was more than 2, but it was definitely more than an hour. But then, as you saw, as we were filming a second one, you know, we got 2 at once, which I think is pretty cool. I do like seeing multiple trains run at the same time. I think that's a pretty cool experience. I'm trying to think of all the train videos I've done. That's probably the first I've ever filmed that had more than one train in action at once. Because many of the places I filmed last year, they were just single lines of track. So let's put it this way, if you had 2 running at once by me, you'd have a problem. Well, the trains would have a problem. I would probably have a successful viral video, but I don't want to see that happen. I like trains. I don't want to see anyone hurt. So anyway, the other thing that probably didn't come through in the Horseshoe Curve video is that the funicular, which is a kind of a counterweighted system of cars that take you up and down the hill, has not been in operation for a while. We had to climb the steps. That was absolutely exhausting, and it kind of limits how much time you can spend up there, because at some point you're going to have to answer nature's call, and the only way to do that is to go back down the steps, and at that point you're not going to want to go back up the steps. So, well, I can only do about 1 trip on those steps a day. I guess I'm not speaking for everybody, but the good news is we found out the funicular should be running again in about a month. Apparently they are waiting to get some bearings to repair it, and like everything else in this world, shipments have been delayed. You know how we've all been dealing with that with various items. So odds are next time I come out here that will be running. And what I'm tentatively thinking of doing right now, because I mean, I had a wonderful time. It was a whirlwind 2 days. We did a lot more in those 2 days than I imagined possible, but there's still so much more that could be done if there was more time. I am thinking about coming back in the fall. I think it would be really beautiful to film the trains with the fall leaves as a backdrop. It would be cooler weather, hopefully, which is also more agreeable for me. I don't do well in the heat at all. So, you know, as long as my financial situation with the business remains stable, and knock on wood, I'm doing very well with the business, so, you know, hopefully it stays stable. And hopefully the health emergency does not worsen, that they start shutting things down again. I don't want to be a pessimist with that, but you know, after the last 15 months, it just shows you really can't count on anything in the world anymore. So I think at this point I'm not counting on anything anymore. And enough said about that. It was a wonderful time. I would also like to have had more time at the Railroaders Museum. People hate going to museums with me because I'm one of those people who will read every sign and scrutinize every exhibit. And if I did that, it would probably make for a 6-hour video, which nobody would watch. So I'll probably go back and, not do a full video of the thing, but experience it for me so that I can read all the signs and really take it all in. And also get to some of those other rail fanning destinations that I did not make it to on this trip. Horseshoe Curve is not the only place to watch trains here. There's a lot of other cool places. I mean, let's face it, none are as cool, but they're still cool. So, anyway, with that, I am continuing north on 99. I wish you could see the view. Even if I turned the camera, it wouldn't do it justice. The view of the valley off to my left is just spectacular. I mean, you guys are used to seeing the hills and mountains where I live in the Lehigh Valley, and let me tell you, they are just, look at this guy with the fifth wheel just blowing by me as if I'm holding still. Yikes. And I'm doing the speed limit, so and of course I lost my train of thought, even though my train of thought was probably about trains. I was just saying how mountainous and hilly this is compared to where I live. So I've really also just, driving through here, just been enjoying the scenery. I may or may not have posted a scenic drive video. Again, it depends how they turn out. And, sometimes those end up, it's quite possible I may share them later because a lot of times, honestly, I use those as filler when I don't have time to make other content. But who knows? You'll know by the time you watch this what you have and haven't seen. So, well, with that, actually, as I rounded that bend, there's been a lot of storm clouds in the skies. There are thunderstorms in the area. I'm sure as I drive home, I'm going to run through at least 1 or 2 or 3 intense ones. It's just that time of year. They bubble up in the afternoon and the evening. And somewhere I'm going to stop to get myself a proper dinner. I know I was sounding pretty run down at the Railroaders Museum. That's because I was also trying to keep my voice down a little bit because it was an indoor space and I didn't want to drive everybody else crazy. But I was definitely in the early stages of heat exhaustion, and I just want to let everybody know, don't worry about me, I am fine. I succumb to heat exhaustion very easily, but if I catch it in time and go into the air conditioning and rehydrate and have something to eat, in this case it happened to be ice cream, which, let's face it, I love ice cream anytime, but that really helps cool me down. And actually, as I'm driving, I feel pretty good. I mean, a little tired, but overall pretty good, to be honest. So, with that, I am gonna concentrate on the driving. You've listened to me long enough. I thank you for that. I really hope you guys enjoyed all of my Altoona videos as much as I enjoyed making them. I had an absolutely fantastic weekend. And let me just use this moment to give one final thanks to JPVideos for hosting this meetup, for bringing us all together, for his helpful wisdom and information about the area. He's been here several times, and he was really able to give a lot of good advice and suggestions. So thank you, Jay. Really enjoyed seeing you again, really enjoyed seeing everybody else again. I enjoyed meeting a couple new people on this meetup, as I often do. And I encourage everybody, I'll put the links to their channels below. I encourage everybody to check their channels out. A lot of them do very similar content to mine. I think you would enjoy those channels very much. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to say thank you for watching. Thank you for riding around. And I'll see you in the next video.